So, what if the AI boom isn't coming from Silicon Valley, but from a defense contractor powering military intelligence? This is a company we've been watching for a while. It's called BigBear.AI. They have some notable contracts with the Department of Defense, Army, the U.S. Border and Customs, the Pentagon. They're partnered with Palantir, and they work not just in space, but they also have some things they're working on primarily related to TSA and related to the airports. And Big Bear AI is one that a lot of people talk about because when it comes to Big Bear AI, there is so much bullishness lately. We see it start to trend up to this $10 price point here again that we saw back in February. So we started covering it back in October, around $1 a share. We got a long-term position around $2.80. We've seen this rally after that big sell-off into February, and then April we see this bounce on the 200-day moving average and continue up in today at one point up to $8.50. So really trying to make its way back up into these levels around $10 a share. So why is it making this move? What can we learn from it? We're going to kind of show the levels and let's take a look. So recently we saw it push up. There was this bull trend. Then we saw it get rejected, sell down, and we said, can it reverse? It did. We made a trade right here. So now I can kind of zoom in a little more. You can get an idea. So we ended up getting into a trade down here, actually trading it and investing in it for the past couple days, weeks, and now we see it up to this $8.60 price point this morning before selling back to this previous resistance. So what we talked about yesterday is there's a strong resistance level at about $8 a share that we are at right now. So we're going to see if that previous resistance can hold, because in a hyper bull trend, if we get a hyper bull trend, every previous resistance will act as a support. Now it might be down here at the $7.50 range, but that's kind of the key with the technicals. When it comes to the market they're in, AI defense has been growing fast. I'm sure you've heard of Palantir if you're looking at Big Bear. You probably know that if you're looking at Big Bear, that they specialize in some of the same areas as Leidos. If you don't know that, that's okay. But Leidos is primarily over in TSA, and they have that machine that scans you when you walk through. Big Bear is coming direct to not only the Leidos market of TSA with this very scan tool here. You can see maybe here where you get your face scanned at the TSA. I don't know if you guys have seen that. They're at some major airports and recently announced and confirmed that they're in a ton of new markets. So they're partnered with U.S. Customs and Border Protection. They are now starting to build out some really great technologies with the VeriScan. You might say, Will, what's so special? It's a camera, it could recognize faces. My iPhone can do that. Really, it comes down to them being able to have efficient traveler authentication, but primarily it's going to do what TSA is already doing. So TSA maybe can find when people are traveling in groups, or maybe can see where somebody's coming and going from and be able to create kind of a case around anomalies, or be able to find out if there's a risk with this person in front of them. And this is something that uses AI. It's a large language model on the back end that essentially looks at all the people coming in and out of the US or in and out of the ports or the gates at airports, and it is doing analysis on those people. It's not just going to be a big key in the upcoming earnings to see how that reflects, because that's that's kind of like the news side of it. But what we're going to see is the contract values and kind of the financial side of this is how much money is worth here. So that's really what we're into with Big Bear. We've seen increased institutional interest over the last few months with increased positions from BlackRock and Vanguard and Goldman Sachs. But when we jump into the finances, this is really where things start to say, okay, if we see 50 million plus in revenue in the next quarter, which we very well could see based on the new contracts they've been announcing in the leading up to this next earnings here, which for your reference, the next earnings is going to be on August 11th. That will be a helpful date to keep in mind. But again, as they are reporting earnings, if they come out with that $50 million revenue plus and they keep the balance sheet healthy as they recently reduced debt, then we could see Big Bear continue to justify the valuations. Now that they're up above this $2 billion price point for their market cap, that things look like they're at this resistance level here that they just got rejected. They're selling back down to $8. And now we're saying, can it bounce $8 and continue up? That would be the bull trend. Or do we get a more conservative new trend start to develop? Now, I know there's a lot of lines here, and I'm going to have to, get rid of them here, but it's good to see the history, I think. And as we start to get this level maybe validated at $8, then do we have the rest of the market hold? We know other defense companies are doing well. You saw CTM doing really well, which we'll cover. You see SPY start off green and then kind of dip red. Does the greater market hold green? Because if not, then that conservative approach, that sell down here into these levels of 750 or somewhere in there, that could be possible. Now, one thing we noted in our earnings here for stock meets, which is where we come out with all of the new earnings, we had this level of focus on TSMC yesterday, which they came in positive, really good earnings, meaning tech is investing more in AI. They provide the microchips for NVIDIA and some other big companies. So that's a good indication for the market. Netflix came in big, lower guidance, but came in with really big earnings. Even though they sold off, we ended up trading them this morning on a dip, which we're up right now. Because they dipped big about 10-15%, even though they came in with good earnings. So we ended up buying them this morning in our live session in stock meets, which, by the way, if you want to be there, second link in the description for lifetime access to the daily live sessions Monday through Friday. And I'll send you a free t-shirt, give you a personal phone call when you join. Would love to have you in here. But anyway, the market's showing signs of more value creation from these companies, which would indicate that the greater market potentially here could continue up. Now, if it does, and we kind of see this pullback here with Big Bear, maybe this previous resistance at $8 can hold, and then we see it maybe start to make that run up into those previous highs we saw back in February, which were here. It's about a 30% increase from there. Now, if that's the case, a 30% increase, of our current holdings, that would be excellent. Long term, we're in at 280. Short term, if you're looking at it and you're looking for that swing and you're maybe looking to get in and get out over the course of a couple days or weeks, what do you think I'm going to say? It's going to be have a plan. The thing is, with this market, the volatility can swing fast. We're in Black Sky, for example. Yesterday morning, I was looking at it. It was at 117%. And then shortly after that, we're up only 82% on that trade. So, the market swings. The market goes quick in both directions. So if you're not just adding to a long-term position, something like that, then make sure you have a plan in place. Make sure you're having some good discipline around the risk that you're managing if it's a short-term trade. So just keep that in mind. I would encourage you to do so. Now, the other thing that we haven't talked about with Big Bear, which I wanted to jump into, is Redwire. And I don't know, but I'm hearing rumors because I've talked with Redwire, and I've been able to meet with Redwire, not just in that conference over there, but you could see this was a Redwire partnering with Big Bear for cybersecurity. Why is that important? Well, the Space Crest for cyber resiliency, technologies that get used are simulations and emulations. And Big Bear could be moving into some of the space industry with their tech. Maybe not with their hardware. I don't see that right now. But when you look at this partnership, Redwire, we have a trade going. I think we have it going right now. Let me see if we have it going right now. Let's see. Redwire. If I'm not mistaken, unless we sold out. Are we still in Redwire right now? Yes, we are. We're in a trade on Redwire that we entered about 2 days ago. And if I show the drawings, this was the trade, right? So we ended up buying the dip down here, made our 8 or 10%, and then reassessed. And now we're looking for, kind of just looking at it. But anyway, we entered down here on a dip. we're up $870 and we have a stop market there. Redwire is one of the 14 contractors, excuse me, to be a part of the um, $2.7 billion contract with NASA. So they're helping build infrastructure in space. They're doing some testing in space as far as like drug discovery goes. They are building Department of Defense contracts. They have quite a few of those. But one of the things that happened, they're also building some infrastructure on like Mars and space, on lunar as well. Even doing some materials research in space, so zero gravity. But when we were at the space symposium again, we saw them announce this $2.6 billion contract through 2028. Why is that a large contract? Because they are one of the 14 prime contractors that are going to be on the list of companies that are going to be fulfilling this $2.6 billion through 2028. Now, we don't know the exact amount that they're going to take from that 2.6 billion, but let's just assume an average split between the 14 companies, which it's possible that will not be the case. Most likely it'll be something like 80-20, but let's just say 2.6 billion, so I'm going to pull out my calculator here. 2.6 billion divided by 14 is $185 million potentially for Redwire. And so anyway, this isn't a video about Redwire, but that's a growth potential there because they're pretty small market cap. And what we just saw with this news here is Redwire and BigBear. This is directly from BigBear here, that they have a partnership with BigBear to build out high fidelity simulation environments and the next generation of space infrastructure. Redwire's proud to be working with BigBear on this initiative to identify and mitigate potential vulnerabilities in these critical systems. So I'm assuming it's more of a software thing, but it could be based on surveillance, as surveillance is something. But AI and ML technology, so machine learning, is where BigBear is working with Redwire. So I think that's something that could be overlooked and that we could see them push into the space industry. But again, what we know for certain, there's no contract value, anything like that we verified. But when it comes down to their earnings and what we've seen with BigBear, the main news is going to be their VeriScan technology that they're putting into all of the airports. So when it comes to BigBear, we're going to be watching closely today. Again, $8 support, kind of targeting that $9 range. But if it doesn't hold, we could see $7.50 in the near term. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If I earned your thumbs up, hit that like button. If you want to see us enter trades like this from Redwire, BigBear, quantum computing, AI, then it's the second link in the description. You can get lifetime access. Again, it's recurring for Monday through Friday, and I would love to see you there. One thing to note, we talked about taking short-term positions and how that really needs to be managed because the market has volatility right now. I put together a free stock profit calculator. You can use it as much as you want. It's optimized for your desktop or your laptop, not for your phone. But we use it every morning in our market sessions to calculate our risk to reward and make sure that we're managing our risk properly so that in those trades that we have for a few days or a few weeks or however long we're investing in it, sometimes we're lucky and it shoots up right away. We'll sell it the same day. Not always is that the case. We're usually using this calculator so that we're going for that much more profit than that of our risk. So big calculator, unlimited usage. It's software, so you can use it as much as you want. It's in the first link down below. And again, if you want to join us in Stockmate, get access to the community. We've had some really nice wins recently with even some members doubling their account the last month, which is tremendous. Much better than how I did. I think we were up about 22 or something percent this past week. Tremendous week. But anyway, if you want to be there in our live session on Monday, second link below. Thanks so much for watching. Comment your thoughts down below on BigBear. Do consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.